Good morning, friends. I want to share a story with you this morning that is true, that you might find hard to believe, but it's a story I've got to tell. But I want to first just take a second to talk about the things that go on at Grace. You know, this is the truth. We have seen some really amazing things around here. Things huge that defy logic. They're just ways that God moves around here. I've told people in all sincerity that this place is probably as close as I'm ever going to get to seeing the burning bush in this life. I mean, God is so obvious in the way He moves in this neighborhood and in this church that we've kind of gotten used to the way that God moves around the neighborhood and moves around and does these big things. I mean, if you can get used to that. And so we see things that defy logic and certainly defy expectations. But I'm struggling. I'm going to share my struggle. My teeny tiny little brain, it can handle the big stuff. I don't have to understand it. I'm cool with that. Where my teeny tiny little brain really struggles, though, is in the little stuff that defies logic. The weird stuff. And so there was a day a while back where I usually try to get out of the office early on Tuesdays, just simply because we have an Alcoholics Anonymous group that meets here. Really wonderful group, but I like to be out of their way. And I got out of here about 5:30. They meet at 6, and so I left. Well, when I went out of my door, out into the room where the mailboxes are that you may have seen in another video, everything was normal. Everything was in order. Everything made sense. And so I left the church and I went home to my family. I'm sure we had a nice meal and sat around the table telling stories of yore and laughing heartily, because that's what we do, my family. And so I was enjoying family time, unaware that nefarious things were taking place in my church. And so I wake up the next morning excited to get to the church, and honestly, I usually am excited to get here. And I come into the church like I normally do, and I announce, "Good morning, church!" Church likes it when I talk to it when I get here. And so I come down the hallway. I'm probably whistling, because that's what I do too. And around the corner to my office, and I stop dead in my tracks. Things are out of order. Something strange is in my neighborhood. On the corner of the mailboxes, there is the gnarliest, nastiest looking wig. Just sitting there like it owns the place. My teeny tiny little brain couldn't handle it. That wig wasn't there yesterday. Why is it here now? Why is it on my mailbox? Did it want me to see it? Was it mocking me? I stood in the hallway out there at a safe distance, because as I said, it was nasty and gnarly, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. I'm familiar with every square inch of this church. My hands have literally been on everything in this church at least 10 times because I've had to move everything. There's no wig in my church. Where did it come from? The only people, to my knowledge, that had been in the church since I left on Tuesday night was Alcoholics Anonymous. And my mind, because this is how my teeny tiny little mind works, it immediately went to a Seinfeld episode. There was the episode the one time where George divulges that he can't poop with his shirt on. He's got to take it off. Well, Alcoholics Anonymous likes to meet down in the basement. That's kind of their thing. I've invited them up here where it's nice. No, we like the basement. Okay. And so my teeny tiny little brain is thinking, because they drink a lot of coffee. And coffee does weird stuff to people. I drink a lot to myself. Maybe they had a rush on the bathrooms downstairs and somebody just really had to go because they didn't feel really very good. And so they ran up here and they found my office bathroom, which is okay. I don't care. It's nice. I enjoy it. And so in the scenario working in my teeny tiny little brain, somebody had a really bad bellyache and was probably sweating and hot and had to go to the bathroom. And like George Costanza, they had to take something off to poop. And so in my mind, they took their wig off. But then my teeny tiny little brain wanted to know, why didn't you put it back on? Wouldn't somebody notice? Wouldn't you go back to AA and be like, somebody would say, hey, where's your wig? You're bald now. And you would be embarrassed and run back up here and get your wig and put it back on. That's not how it worked. The wig was still out there. I don't know how long I stood in the hallway. I was kind of scared to walk past it. It wasn't supposed to be there. So I got this really long stick. And I beat that wig something fierce. And then I pushed it with the stick across the floor into the computer lab and I hid it under a desk. I wanted to keep it for evidence, but I didn't want to touch it and I didn't want to put it in here. There's candy in here. I don't want that wig around that. And so for the next week, I kept pondering and I kept going back to George Costanza, and instead of their shirt they took off their wig and they forgot it and nobody told them. And so when all this had happened before I beat the wig with the stick, I took a picture of the wig. And so when the following Tuesday rolled around, I decided, well, the facilitators for Alcoholics Anonymous, they get here early, so I'm going to go talk to them. And I went downstairs when they got here, and I walked up to them and I said, I've got a weird question for you. And they kind of laughed nervously, in my eyes maybe. And I said, do any of your people wear a wig? And they looked at me like it was a bug. And they thought about it and they kind of laughed again. And then it's, no, I'm serious. Does any of your people wear a wig? I need to know. So they thought about it and they thought about it. And finally one of them goes, well, such and such wears a weave. And I said, it's not a weave. It's a wig. And then I took my camera and I said, it looks like this. Have you seen this wig? I'm not really proud of my actions in that moment. These are people in recovery. I mean, they're doing really good. But here I am. Have you seen this wig? They laughed at me a lot. I'm used to that. No, we haven't seen that wig. Great. They hadn't seen it. They didn't know about it. They thought it was funny. It terrified me. The wig is still here. Under the desk in the computer lab. I don't know what to do with it. I mean, is it like a mogwai? You get it wet and it multiplies? Nobody wants that. What if I feed it after midnight? Does it turn into a gremlin? Maybe it already is one. I don't know. I don't know. I can handle the big stuff, folks. I really can. It's the little things that don't make sense that bother me. The wig on the mailbox, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of normal for this place, but I just can't wrap my teeny tiny little brain around that wig. Please pray for me. Pray for my team. Pray for the wig, I guess. Maybe. Thanks for listening. Someday, maybe I'll have some answers. I'm out.